Today, we're talking about a woman who absolutely should have been queen, Empress Matilda. I mean, she had the bloodline, she had the brains, she had the experience to rule England, she really had everything, well, except for the one thing that mattered most back then.
So, what happened? Why did someone with a resume like hers never actually get to wear the crown? Well, the answer is it's complicated. But a huge part of it comes down to a simple, unchangeable fact. She was a woman. And in 12th century England, that mattered enormously, in ways that were both fair and deeply unfair.
So, let's dive into her story. We'll start with her incredible early life, and then we're going to break down the 4 big reasons she never got that crown. After that, we'll look at how she achieved a different kind of victory, and why her story is still so important for us. Then we'll share a couple of cool facts, and finish up with a quick quiz to see what you've picked up.
Okay, so first up, let's get to know the woman at the center of all this. Because honestly, her life before she even staked her claim to the throne was more packed with experience than most kings. So, Matilda was born in 1102, the daughter of King Henry I. But her life took this really extraordinary turn in 1110. When she was just 8 years old, she was sent away from home across the sea to Germany to marry the Holy Roman Emperor. Just think about that for a second. At 8, she was being prepared to rule an empire, and she really did it. By the time she was 12, she was empress, and she was no figurehead. She learned to govern. She even acted as her husband's regent in Italy, which means she was the one in charge, making the big decisions. So when her husband died in 1125, she came back to England not just as a widow, but as one of the most experienced political leaders in all of Europe. And, crucially, after a second marriage, she had a son, Henry, which secured her family's future claim to the throne.
So, let's recap. She has the experience, she has a son to inherit the throne, and she has her father's promise that the barons of England would support her. On paper, she looks completely unstoppable. So, what went wrong? Let's take a look at the 4 major barriers that stood in her way. You see, it wasn't just one single thing, it was 4 big issues that all connected. First, there was this deeply held medieval belief that a woman just couldn't lead men in battle or rule over them in peacetime. Second was her personality, which was described in some very specific and telling ways. Third was the sheer political speed of her cousin and rival, Stephen. And fourth, one critical missed opportunity in the City of London.
Now let's focus on that second barrier for a moment, her manner. The male writers of the time called her proud, haughty, and imperious. She expected respect, and she didn't really try to soften her approach to get it. But this brings up a really important question, doesn't it? If a man acted in the exact same way, would he have been described with those same words? Or would he have been praised for being strong, decisive, and commanding? It seems pretty clear she was being judged by a completely different standard, one that a king would never have had to deal with.
So the civil war that followed, which we now call the Anarchy, tore England apart for years. And in the end, Matilda never got her coronation. It is so easy to look at that and just call it a failure. But that's not the whole story. Her victory was just a different kind of victory.
When Matilda died in 1167, this is the epitaph she reportedly wrote for herself. Here lies the daughter, wife, and mother of Henry. There's no mention of empress, no mention of her right to the throne of England. She defines herself entirely through the men in her life. Was this just humility, or was it political wisdom? Or was this simply how an extraordinary woman felt she had to be seen in her time, to be remembered at all?
Because her victory, in the end, was immense. She may not have worn the crown herself, but her son, Henry II, did. He founded the Plantagenet dynasty, a line of kings descended directly from her that would go on to rule England for the next 331 years. The crown wore her bloodline for 3 centuries.
And that right there brilliantly illustrates why her story is so important, not just as a piece of medieval history, but for us, right here, right now. Matilda was the first woman to make a serious, sustained claim to the English throne in her own right. No woman would get that close again until Mary I, over 400 years later. Her story forces us to look really critically at our historical sources and ask about the different rules people were judged by. And finally, she survived war, siege, and betrayal to see her ultimate goal realized, her son on the throne. It wasn't failure, it was a different kind of victory.
All right, now for a couple of really fascinating facts that give us even more insight into Matilda's character and her massive place in history.
First, that title, Empress. Even after her first husband died, she insisted on being called Empress Matilda for the rest of her life. Why? Because in the strict hierarchy of the Middle Ages, an empress outranked a queen. It was a brilliant, savvy political move to constantly remind everyone of her unique status. And second, her family tree is just staggering. Her son was Henry II, which makes her the grandmother of Richard the Lionheart and King John. She was there at the very beginning of it all.
Okay, you've heard the story. Now let's see what you've remembered with just a few quick questions.
Question 1. At what age was Matilda sent to Germany to be betrothed to the Holy Roman Emperor? Was it A, 16, B, 8, C, 12, or D, 18?
The correct answer is B. Matilda was sent to Germany when she was just 8 years old, in 1110.
Question 2. Why was Matilda considered an experienced ruler even before she claimed the English throne? Was it A, she governed England as regent, B, she acted as regent in the Holy Roman Empire, C, she led armies against the French, or D, she was Archbishop of Canterbury?
The answer is B. As Empress, she gained real governing experience managing parts of the huge Holy Roman Empire.
Number 3. What did contemporary chroniclers criticize in Matilda that they actually praised in male rulers? Was it A, her timidity, B, her pride and haughtiness, C, her inability to speak English, or D, her spending too much time in Normandy?
That's right, it's B. Historians note that her so-called proud behavior was often praised as being decisive in men.
Question 4. What did Matilda's self-composed epitaph define her by? A, her fight for the throne, B, her relationships with the men in her life, C, her rightful status as queen, or D, her founding of a dynasty?
The answer is B. It reads, "Here lies the daughter, wife, and mother of Henry," defining her entirely through her male relatives. And finally, question 5. Why is Matilda's legacy considered such a significant victory, even though she was never crowned? Was it A, B, C, or D? The correct answer is B. Her son became King Henry II, and the Plantagenet dynasty she founded ruled England for an incredible 331 years. Next time, we'll be looking at the end of the Norman era. What did the Normans leave behind, and where does England go from here?